It's a great day for some League of Legends here around the world, but also at LOL Park, where we're going to have Jin Air GreenWings up against the ES Sharks to decide the last team to make it into the LCK. Will Jin Air secure that spot once again, or will we have a fresh face in the LCK?
And that would, of course, be a lot of change, Valdez, if we were to see Jin Air be relegated. It seemed on the cards for a lot of the regular season. The worst overall record of any team in the LCK era goes to Jin Air. So definitely not the sort of award you want to be leaving with, but Jin Air have been, on the whole, pretty impressive, especially relative to the field here. Of course, when you bring in the Challengers teams, you're never really sure where the field will be in. The last couple of times, we've noticed that breakout teams have come through this tournament. Griffin, Damwon Gaming, and Sandbox, all promoted in the last two promotion tournaments. We don't feel like we have that sort of a team hiding in the remaining field. It is only Jin Air and the ES Sharks, and honestly, this could be a drawn-out slugfest. There's no guarantee we're done in 3 hours.
It definitely does feel like Jin Air kind of has the upper hand here, but the ES Sharks, you know, definitely a bit of a wild card coming into this one. It wasn't impressive up against Jin Air the first time. You can see on the left where they did go down 0-2 quite quickly to Jin Air, but we'll see if they have anything prepared for this matchup the second time going up against Jin Air. Again, they did have to show a lot against VSG in 5 games. They showed off a bunch of stuff, showed, you know, that even in the top lane, Jisu could play that Akali, bringing out the new picks. So I feel like Jin Air should have done their research and their homework, and definitely should have studied that series that ES Sharks did go up against VSG. But we'll have to wait and see if they can surprise us here and actually take down Jin Air.
And I actually agree that overall, ES Sharks are a bit of an open book. We kind of know what they're going to draft. Jisu might have some crazy picks, but otherwise, it's pretty on the table. The question is, can Jin Air, with that information, actually take advantage of it and win a series? Their series victory over the ES Sharks first time out was their second series victory in 2019. 1 match win over the course of spring, 1 match win first of this tournament. Here we are. And it's Kuzan versus Jin Air GreenWings. That's the most fun storyline to embrace.
Yeah.
Will he relegate Jin Air, a squad that has proudly sat in the top echelon of Korean League of Legends, Korean StarCraft? They have been an esports org that has put out a lot of money to supporting local esports, and it would definitely be a sad day to see Jin Air relegated, but we had to live through BBQ going down, MVP going down, CJ Entus going down. Will this be another famous name to join theirs, or will Jin Air pull ahead? Because if you put money on it for me, we're as close to 50-50 as we're going to get.
And I like that you say that Kuzan kind of is going to have to carry his team. That guy in the mid lane, definitely very impressive in Challenger, and then coming into here, looks like he's really getting into his own and playing quite well. So eyes on him and Jisu, the solo laners for ES Sharks for sure. Another interesting thing there at the top, 6 Challenger teams have promoted since 2016 Summer. Can you name them off the top of your head, Papa?
So 2016 Summer, it would have been MVP and BBQ. They promoted at the start. That was the spring tournament for Summer, so it's hard to say whether we're including that there. Into 2017 spring, it would definitely have been Kongnam Monsters 1. Might be forgetting. No, that'll be 3 already. And then, of course, we're moving on to the territory I already mentioned. So I've lived through it all, Valdez. I've cast through it all, so I remember almost all of it. Lindarang versus Jisu. Of course, every 8 winners will be joined in on that queue as well. So a lot of teams have come through. Here we go. Let's remember, just a couple of days ago, Jin Air was very convincing winners over ES Sharks, but Jisu in particular had probably, you know, a career-defining poor performance in that series. He was pretty awful, especially on the Scion, that he will not want to remember. But his champion pool is eclectic. He looks best on the carries. We love him. On the Akali, that was a surprise that he could bring that as career first played, but actually perform in a very impressive fashion. And now it's another pick that Jin Air will have to consider banning against ES Sharks.
Yeah, the stats, interesting there. You can see that Lindarang had a much higher damage percentage compared to Jisu, but may have just been in this tournament so far, and Lindarang did look quite good in the matchup the last time around, so looks like we're nearly ready to get it going here. Of course, Jin Air do have a bunch of options for their roster, as always, whereas the ES Sharks just bring the same 5 guys. So far, that's been working out for them.
It is an auspicious day for League of Legends around the world. The LPL final about to kick off as we compete directly against them. Speaking of competitors, seems like we're going to be introducing Jin Air, the higher seed coming through from the winners match. They will get first side selection. We're guessing they chose blue. We see the roster here. No surprise that Malrang once again drops out of the roster. Lindarang sees Grace, Root, Nova. This has been their power lineup so far.
C's doing a little bit of Naruto as we do come into this one. Just trying to prepare, as actually a ton of fans did come down today and a lot of them cheering for this Jin Air lineup. So bringing in the fans, a lot of people want to see Jin Air continue to stay in the LCK.
The ever-existing question of the glad plane or the sad plane. It feels like they'll never be gladder and they'll never be sadder depending on the result today. We move over to the ES Sharks, who played the most on the Rift of any team in this tournament, trying to grind their way through and extend that run. Here they come onto the stage. This is their big opportunity, Valdez. They would have come together in the offseason. Soulstrike's their coach from Oceania joining to round out this group of 5. The question is that work that probably started in December going to pay off? Because if you don't win today, you have to do it all again and fight on a very similar stage at the end of the year, just for an opportunity to return to this stage.
Yeah, we talked about it before. It's the worst feeling to get so close and then fail right at the end. So you'll have to imagine that if they can handle that pressure, the ES Sharks are going to be playing with all their might tonight. But we talked about the solo lanes for the side of the ES Sharks. Lindarang and Grace, though, looked pretty good in their matchup the last time around in that 2-0. And they also do have Root in the bottom lane, who does seem to be very mechanically skilled, especially in this kind of competition, as you were mentioning before.
I think Root still makes more critical errors than most other AD carries, but in kind of an honest fashion where he's a promising younger player who has a lot of good games, but also has some standout poor games. Meanwhile, the ES Sharks are going to be looking for consistency that was there in Challengers, but I would say overall has kind of dogged them in this tournament, where they've just had single players who really dropped off in performance under the lights in the big stage. To me, they want to prioritize solo lanes, deprioritize their AD carry and support duo, and put them on Lucian duty wherever possible, although they have a great Lucian player in the mid lane as well.
Yeah, the Lucian priority from both of these teams is going to be quite interesting. We'll see if it gets banned out more than picked, or maybe just it's left open, but a lot of strong picks in this current patch. Like Ryze is extremely strong as a first pick, so definitely a lot of stuff that will be contested as we do get into this.
Absolutely. So savor the atmosphere. Here's a couple of minutes. We'll be bang on at 5 p.m. Korean Standard Time for pick and ban for Jin Air versus ES Sharks. And guys, this will conclude our Korean League of Legends until summer.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to be sober, apart from SKT fans who will hopefully be drinking in another international tournament victory. For everyone else, you're going to have to wait to see your favorite players. Definitely some crowd pleasers. Kuzan is smiling. Grace, his replacement, the one to engineer the downfall of the ES Sharks. It's hard to predict 3 games here. I guess it's possible that there could be a 3-0, and Jin Air did 2-0 ES Sharks the first time out. But it feels like that was more about the ES Sharks' mistakes and not the Jin Air amazing plays. Jin Air were good, but ES Sharks are way below level. If both teams come to play, I think we're grinding, Valdez. I think we're going late, and I think that's fine for what will be, as we say, about 7 weeks sober, 8 weeks sober. Sometime in June, we don't have full schedules published, but it's not until June comes around that Korean League of Legends returns.
It's going to be a pretty long break, as you did mention, so drink it in while you can. And we should be just about ready to hop into this one, as the clock did strike 5. So very excited. I do agree with you. I think this is going to go 4 or 5 games. I have a hard time seeing Jin Air just 3-0ing them this time around, as they weren't really showing up the first time. So would expect this to be quite competitive, but still leaning Jin Air. We'll see which plane comes out tonight.
And with the Lysandra ban, we wonder how quickly ES Sharks will ban Ryze. They felt the brunt of first pick Ryze, and I think people are finally starting to respect that Ryze is like bonkers overpowered and really needs to be banned. Feels like he and Sylas are these dual lane threats that always win, except teams are better at playing out Ryze drafts than they are at playing out Sylas drafts. Ryze more reliable with a targeted lockdown, so it would be very surprising to see Ryze left open. So let's see what ES Sharks will account for on the red side. Notice they will be banning Jarvan. If you look at some champion pools, for example, how about your boy Catch, who's played 7 games already on the LoL Park stage in this tournament? He has only played Rek'Sai and Jarvan. So is it a possibility that ES Sharks have to provide something tasty to actually get access to the Rek'Sai?
Does feel that way, but Jin Air really putting in the thought, and they decided that we're not going to go for any trades because, of course, the Sharks could have just banned something else, and then both Ryze and Sylas are available, and the enemy team would get one of those plus the Rek'Sai you were mentioning.
If we don't see Ryze banned here, I think something epically spicy is on the way, like Kled into Ryze kind of levels of spicy to get a Rek'Sai, because those are the 2 picks, Rek'Sai and Ryze. We will see the Ryze banned. Rek'Sai is the most obvious first pick to be taken here, but Kalista is open as well, and some teams highly prioritized. Sorry, Kalista is banned, so the Kalista's out as well. Thinking of other first pickable champions, you're already kind of thinking on the Lucian, which for a lot of teams is not an auto first round champion. So the Rek'Sai is conspicuous. The Rek'Sai is completely taken. Now for Catch, if you ask me, what do you take against Rek'Sai? A lot of teams like Skarner compositionally, but it's kind of a slow champion, not always super popular. The Kindred is kind of the world pick in this spot, but a lot of teams aren't feeling confident enough to go towards the Kindred. So maybe we just hold on to jungle for a while. The Varus Tahm Kench duo has been a favorite one in this tournament, and the Tahm Kench is already selected.
Tahm Kench, I've said it before, his win rate is incredibly high here in Korea, and he's very reliable in his own right as well. He can just shut down that bottom lane, and so we're going to see Olaf coming in. That was actually banned, I believe it was 5 games in the previous series of the Sharks versus VSG.
But it was mostly that target ban against Ryan, but to a lesser degree, Mighty Bear as well. Banned, banned, banned. Here we'll see it. It's a matchup that can work, absolutely, but as we know, Olaf is much more about drafting lane power and having strong lanes to jungle around, given that your actual gank attempts are sometimes a bit half-hearted. Jin Air see Olaf, and they draft the safest possible duo of champions, you'd say, Ezreal and LeBlanc for ultra safety. And now Kuzan says he's happy to just hunt LeBlanc on this Corki. They can just run it into LeBlanc at every opportunity. And in fact, Corki versus Ezreal was a decent laning bot lane to poke him out during the laning phase as well. So expected to be mid lane against LeBlanc, pick up the shield coming through from the Hex Drinker and be largely okay. An outscale matchup for Kuzan.
We did have a bit of a sly smile on Kuzan, so I'll have to wait and see if any of the flexes you mentioned do come out here, but a Braum ban alongside of that Ezreal is going to come out. Lucian, one of those champions we talked about, just totally ignored up until now. So kind of interesting to see if it will make it through the pick ban.
See where Nova wants to go? Player that when he first played alongside Teddy in summer last year was a lot about the Rakan. That was his big pick. Everything else was definitely a tier below that. This tournament so far, Tahm Kench, Braum, and Galio, all 3 of those accounted for. So Nova will have to go somewhere else. Alistair priority has been down in this tournament. Will be something that he will consider, given that the enemy is very likely to have 280 carries, so not going for backline threat is very, very risky, given that C's and Grace have locked in these 2 picks, Ezreal and LeBlanc, for Root and Grace respectively. Those are champions who are much better at hitting closest targets, so it's going to be tricky not to draft backline access and not to potentially just have no ability to shut down Kai'Sa Corki in the 5v5.
The hover is coming through, 5 seconds left, but they're going to switch it up and actually go Ashe into the bottom lane. So putting a lot of thought into that 80 carry, they decide Ashe Tahm Kench, very safe in the bottom side.
Kai'Sa Tahm Kench actually gives up almost every 2v2. Ashe Tahm Kench is actually much stronger with the extended laning phase, kind of auto attack range, and harassment possibilities. It's strong against Lucian, which they're not taking. And conspicuously, Lucian has made it through very far in the draft in a tournament where he's been higher priority than a recent series. Jin Air tasked with a blind pick, no Rise available. Gonna take the Kennen, and here we go.
The
We're gonna
LS
see something
special.
fun. The Soraka versus Tahm Kench, a very strong laning champion.
Yeah.
If they had gone for the Kai'Sa Tahm Kench into Ezreal X, they would have lost to Soraka, because Soraka's important interaction is silenced when you want to gray health, and suddenly you actually pop Tahm Kench before he can press E. That can be pretty huge. When it comes to laners into Kennen, Jace would be the priority lane. It feels like GP is getting better and better at outlasting, and it's an ult to send bot lane. So if Catch can come bot lane and blow Soraka's flash pre-6, put down the cannon barrage and maybe punish the Soraka choice from Jin Air.
I like the idea. It's pretty interesting, and yeah, the Soraka into the Tahm Kench, extremely good at timing those silences or silences rather, not silences. He's not in this game, he's banned. Just for the exact right moment. You want to devour, you want a gray health. Nope, you're not going to do any of that. And can also poke him out and make that lane a little bit stronger up against the Ashe in general. So, and up against that melee support. So I do like the pick bans coming through here. Again, the big surprise is that Lucian wasn't picked or banned throughout the entirety of this one, especially with so many great Lucian players.
Everything's now on the line for these two teams, and here we go. One best of 5 remains to decide the 10th and final team to join LCK Summer 2019. All the history on the side of Jin Air and all the history in front of them for the ES Sharks. Decent crowd coming in, more than we had a couple of days ago. Of course, around the world, most eyes will be trained on the LPL final, and that's because right there it's for keeps. It's for that big title and the chance to go to MSI. Both these teams still dreaming about MSI, and the first time that you get to even consider international events, you gotta qualify, Valdez. Here we go. First game of what we've already alluded to could be a pretty epic and long best of 5. The Odyssey begins now between Jin Air and ES Sharks.
Yeah, really looking forward to this one. Let's jump into game number 1 right now. Jin Air getting the much bigger tier. We mentioned it before. They're the favorites in terms of just winning the match, but also in terms of the fans that have come down. They got a massive cheer when they did walk out here, and it definitely does feel like people want to see Jin Air stay in the LCK.
Jin Air have always had this, indescribable is an overused word, but when they're a team that's never won anything in League of Legends, not even really been close, to me their biggest run was during 2015 Worlds qualifiers, where they made it all the way to the semifinals. Semifinals or finals, I didn't look that one up, but they made it really far. GBM was popping off on the mid lane Gangplank when Gangplank had just been changed to his current barrel form. You see a Gangplank in this, which is once again pretty much saying, so that reminds me that revert was, what, 3.5 years ago that makeover for the GP happened. And they made it really close, and that was the closest they ever got to anything resembling success. They've still kept up a very loyal fan base through different rosters. They finally changed their jerseys this year, you'll notice, after being GBM inspired for the better part of 4 years with the fake ties. They're going to be wanting to find their way to LCK Summer, and the Game 1 draft is a very promising one on that side, Valdez. If you look at the lanes, priority top side, priority bot side that we talked about with the Soraka pick, especially at level 1, the tongue lash is nothing compared to the spam of Qs that come through, and we already talked about the silence interaction on the gray health for kills. Mid lane, Corki scales up, a pre-Hex Drinker. You actually don't mind LeBlanc in the matchup. It's pretty 50-50. And remember that Catch needs strong lanes to have relevance on, as this Olaf. So unless he gets his ganks off, he's actually got very little to work on or work around, and that should mean potentially just win lane, win game opportunities for Jin Air GreenWings.
Really looking forward to this, or rather toward this bottom lane with Root and Nova, who seem to oftentimes be one of those lanes that does well and picks up first bloods, especially with Lucian Braum that they brought in so many times. And yeah, I was joking with Ashley the other day. She's just like, yeah, we're probably going to get another 80 carry on Jin Air that's just desperately trying to carry his team. Root's not there yet, but definitely feels pretty good so far. We're looking at a gank here on the Kuzan. That's really fantastic. The leash is going to land. And first blood, very cleanly, goes to Grace.
Grace's most impressive performing champion in his short career has been this LeBlanc. And I gotta say, this tournament, even though it's worst 2 teams in LCK, best 2 teams in Challengers, our LeBlanc play has been flawless. How many of these damn chains have been hitting? It's been really impressive. If someone had just the most time ever, and you could actually just go for visible chain accuracy in laning phase, I bet it will be over 85%. That's how on point our LeBlanc players have been. They pick up the kill there with the priority, and we alluded to this priority, Valdez. And I gotta say, I feel like the team that wins this game wins the series, and I'm gonna go and say 80% certainty, and the reason I say that is Jin Air have gone for a strategy you must love, Valdez. Consider this. They've gone win lane, win game against a team that you can say a lot about ES Sharks. Looking good on stage has been up and down. So definitely if you beat them here, that's big. And speaking of beating them here,
I mean, C's is all over the map right now. The stun is going to come in, looking for the flash. Do they have the damage? The double flash comes in, and C's again picks up another kill in the top lane.
And the Olaf is desperately trying to find inroads somewhere, and sadly doesn't even have camps on the red side jungle to steal. So going win lane, win game against a team that's looked off, you'd say, on stage a couple of times already, you gotta love. If ES Sharks can persevere through a really awkward early game that's already on the rift, gone even worse than perhaps we might have guessed, then that would mean a lot for them as well. So I think we're really certain to know who wins this series from game 1, and we still got a full best of 5 as another chain hits.
Like homing missiles coming out of this LeBlanc. Never seems to miss. I don't even know how he landed the first one. It was on top of 3 ranged minions.
We're getting close enough that even with our kind of PG implied rating, we could talk about drinking games, because right now, if you talk about a drinking game when someone misses chain, we're all staying very sober.
Yeah. Take another look at this. Just the path was fantastic for him to set up another game.
He just comes all the way around. Jisu's down, trying to be like, oh, I'm winning this lane and getting priority for my team. Unfortunately, the Olaf's jungling bot side, so it's just a mistake. What about mid lane?
He's looking again, and he gets the flash away. I think the Valkyrie must have been down, and he's getting so much value on this map.
This is like a career game for C's. It reminds me of one of the most famous games Score ever played was in the semi-final of LCK Summer 2016, wherein I believe game number 4 with KT 2-1 down. On Rek'Sai, he won all 3 lanes, ganked all 3, and got a successful gank off. Here's the third one!
What is going on? He gets another clean gank in the mid lane under turret. It looks like Catch, though, is trying to come in, and the GP ultimate is going to zone him too. They finally shut this guy down and punish him for his aggressive gank.
C's has had one of the best first 6 minutes of any jungler in like a year over in Korea. Again, we're talking about one of Score's career games, and fondly comparing that to, because he gets the 3rd successful gank. Every lane has been impacted by C's, and Catch is just like, man, I just wanted a bit of time to farm. You guys jungled this and laned these particular lanes around me. Grace hits another chain to try to keep him away, but the cannon barrage does the rest.
You can see they nearly got out of that one, but not quite, as Olaf flashing to make sure that one did come in. So he's got a little bit of action on his side. Finally gets that 1 kill in the mid lane, but you can already see that this early game is heavily Jin Air favored, although Light is getting on in there towards Root. Nice little trade in the bottom lane.
How good could C's be with another year under his belt of stage time? Because what we can say about C's is he doesn't play like other Korean junglers at all. Like, he doesn't. He looks a lot like Ning when he's playing for IG and some of the more aggressive LPL junglers. And that whatever champion he's playing, you know, we kind of were half joking, half sincere, talking about how he pathed as Karthus like he's playing Kindred.
Yeah.
It just tells you what his mindset is I'm going to be ganking, I'm not going to be farming. And he's on Rek'Sai, a champion who does both very quickly. And right now, he's not been ganking for about 25, 30 seconds. You know he's itching to get in there.
It's going to start the Ocean Drake, actually. So just before 8 minutes, this would be a really nice lane objective, as this laning phase has a long time to go, especially in like a Soraka, Ezreal lane. We'll see if the rest of the ES Sharks do decide to try to come in here. Cat's looking to get frisky, but he is going to be pushed back as the TP is coming in. We have this Kennen, but it is, of course, a Ragnarok of Olaf to get away. So only was able to get that ult for the teleport.
Turns out the approach from ES Sharks was not one that would be easy to flank, and the teleport advantage from Lindarang is squandered. So big winner here is Jisu, who gets a lot more healthier of a laning phase than you might expect. And we already said that the outscales, their 2-item GP, actually contends just fine, regardless of Kennen build. If it's on-hit, you have the most inroads, but this is not going to be an on-hit build. You can tell from the Klepto. So given that, does mean that Jisu does present himself as a potential late-game win condition for ES Sharks.
Yeah, we've seen GPs do that before, and we'll have to wait and see if he can actually get that laning phase going. As you mentioned, got the perfect back because of that TP. He's going to come back to his lane, get a massive wave, just barrel it all down, and be farming up that cull. So, gotta like his position, as still looking down here at the bottom side. It looks like finally Soraka got a chance to go home.
And even though we're seduced by Caesar's awesome early game play and Jin Air getting those kills in every lane, notice the gold lead is small. It's 700, less than 1,000 at the moment. And we like ESS going onwards because while they don't have the most reliable frontline, while it's not Corki, Ashe double frontline, they do have some great options as the game goes on. With setups, their siege can be very reliable. As the game goes on, even side lane-wise, they can probably win the 1-3-1 in a lot of scenarios, and you're already saying, if Kennen doesn't find the right ulti, maybe Jin Air are going to struggle. So, given the fact that ES Sharks are in a very comfortable position scaling-wise, they haven't actually been put on the ground like the flashing lights might have suggested.
I like this play from the side of the ES Sharks. They're sending GuGer up towards that Rift Herald, and we saw a couple of go pings that way right on time with the Corki package as well. Doesn't look like Olaf's really in position to start it immediately, but they wanted to get vision on the objective, perhaps suspecting that Jin Air would try to go for that one.
So Jin Air, now that they kind of take a breather, and while they won't know the gold is this competitive, they won't think the game is done. They'll just be feeling good and buoyed by their early pathing. What do they need to do is a good thing to ask about this, given that we said the ES Sharks are about waiting. Bot lane priority. They drafted Soraka with a lot of squishies to win bot lane harder. They have GP ult to send there. They have LeBlanc who can roam there first. And they have Rek'Sai. So they really want to be making bot lane plays to shut down bot lane and take a turret and take the tempo out for their mid.
Going for a 2v2 with the package. They have so much damage though. They don't even care about the Corki. And he has to flash the arrow from the bottom lane as Jin Air once again pick off another member of the Sharks.
The kill is nice, but notice again, it's a kill no more, just like their first kills. Unlike bot lane, where if you get the double kill, you can take down turret plays, you can get real aggressive. They only have one turret plate here, Jin Air. Now, they've been able to deny ES Sharks some turret plates in winning lanes, and that part is at least pretty good, given the scaling here, but still want Jin Air to translate these early kills into something, into the ability to take things further. Right now, we don't see that. Watching the Rek'Sai is looking for another successful game.
Like the positioning of Catch, but it's going to be spotted as that axe was really close to stopping the back. You can see that they're, what they're thinking is like, oh yeah, we got one gank, let's do it again. You know, he doesn't have flash this time, maybe we can just kill him. We have so much burst damage. Even without that Rek'Sai ultimate, Void Rush. We'll take another look here at the fight.
Early priority lanes, and the LeBlanc might be against the Hexter and Corki, but has a good start. So the burst there, like we say, is insane. But Jin Air are the ones with the impetus to get things going. They only have one turret plate after successful ganks. Back away from this moment. Some tools are used, and at least now that released some pressure from bot lane as the GP ult has been thrown down. Need to look to find something to Jin.
Take a look at Grace, who started off actually down about 10-15 CS, even amongst the kills. He has caught up, and he's also 1-0-2, so they've got one of those solo laners online and Grace to carry up against a very strong player in Kuzan, who has started 0-2 and has had a rough time of getting that Corki on the path to getting online eventually. So definitely a good start here in the mid lane.
GP, importantly though, has his Triforce and didn't even need the Call cash in to get there. Hasn't need to build respectful, so his team fight build is on the way. It's an IE third more reliably now that Infinity Edge has crit and even of itself. Yes, Hex Drinker slows down the build. Important moments here for Kennen. Winning lane the top side has now. And then a second turret plate, soon to be a third. So this would be the fourth overall turret plate claimed by Jin Air. Not a huge gold lead though, thanks to the GP's ability to always keep up with gold.
Nova and C standing guard by that second Ocean Drake, not willing to give this one up without a fight, as like GuGer and Cats were considering it, at least coming into the river, as now C's is trying to get into that one, but the flash out of GuGer means now the... Okay, Olaf's dead, as the Devourer is going to come on in. Can they actually get a kill? Do they have the CC? Doesn't look like quite, as C's, I believe he failed a flash. Not quite able to get on in there and make anything else happen.
And the top side, Grace able to pick down Olaf through all the conundrums. We zoom out, we lose some of the battle sound, so it's sometimes hard to take it all in, but drink it in if you're a Jin Air fan. It's another solo kill onto the enemy Olaf. The Olaf's going Black Cleaver too, so he's trying to get early impact. This feels like the epitome of a Tarzan-inspired redemption Olaf game, to just try to throw down redemption to the lanes that are already going to be smarting a bit in the early game instead. He's trying to be strong in and of himself, and, well, he rolls in at 1,000 health and dies instantly.
Yeah, LeBlanc is fun when there's nobody to stop her and you don't have full health.
He can't
nice
ult.
ward, too. Remember who put that down.
Remember, he can't ult, because if he ults, he loses the resists from the magic resist and he dies even faster. Turns out he was done, whatever happened. And there are the turret plates kind of back-ended to the side of Jin Air that importantly have allowed them to, once again, cement a gold lead. But given our initial expectations, it still doesn't feel like enough.
Looking down the barrel of a First Blood turret up in the top lane as Lindarang is non-stop getting in there. The Rift Heralds kind of loses value now that the plates are down, so even though they have massive amounts of vision up towards the top side, including what looks to be a couple of regular wards and 3 control wards around the objective. Looks like they're going to start up that Rift Herald now, we'll see. So no more ganks for now, he's gonna have to put that on hold.
It's a later Rift Herald, so the priority to fight there for Abyssal Voyage rotations and TPs is a little bit lower. And we can finally see there being some pretty significant threat on the top side. So Lindarang slows down the turret. Bot lane, though, they're trying to make something happen, TPing in to at least get an objective somewhere.
Kuzan not messing around now as the arrow gonna go straight onto Nova and he disappears! Kuzan doesn't want to let this game go down without a fight, as another missile gonna hit Root in the back. Will only be the 1 kill on top of that turret.
They didn't even need to invest the Gangplank ult, though, and they were able to get the kills. There was an option open to Sharks, but with all the pressure in multiple lanes, not the sort of give up mid lane, go bot lane play that was actually on the cards until now. The Soraka didn't have flash, had to start disengaging, so we do see the kill go the way of the enemy. It looks like an assertive TP just to get an objective, but with the package, the special delivery is successful.
You'd have to imagine that they know it's most likely the Corki that is coming in. I believe the GP may have been on vision, but either way, I think you got to back off a little bit sooner. Maybe not sure about that package and didn't think they could close the distance, but kind of unfortunate. At least Jin Air only lost the 1 support.
But you have to feel like if you just judge the game based on inventories right now, both Jisu and Kuzan have paid the tax of all the magic damage. They have double Hex Drink. It's not the QSS we used to, but I think something relevant given the opposition they're facing, and they have their core items ready. So it feels like ESS have gotten everything they want in the early game, even though the highlight reel would be all Jin Air GreenWings, and now it's going to be purely on execution between Jin Air and ES Sharks. The only dirty advantage Jin Air still have to flex is this Rift Herald. It's summoned, but the charge not enough to directly blow up the turret.
Yeah, I doubt they're going to stick around and try to unleash their fury, but Grace going in again onto Jisu, just going to casually chunk him for half his health. And on that point you were mentioning, I mean, we've seen Jin Air kind of deal with this before in the past. Even when they were running Malrang, they had, you know, the first bloods, they got them pretty often, or Root would pick up a first kill, and things seemingly would be going well, and they'd have a small gold lead, but then the transition wasn't really there for them, and definitely could happen again in this game.
Because the transition is actually harder than you might first think. Because you might say, okay, LeBlanc and Kennen hit the side lane. What happens? Well, LeBlanc's going to be taking Ignite for the actual solo lane against Teleport Corki, who's hit his item spike. So suddenly, you're not blowing them up very fast, unless Rek'Sai's there for a burst combo. So yes, it's possible, but also the punishment is, what if he just stands there and kills you with the Hexdrinker shield, and he has a teleport advantage, and with package, probably a rotational advantage. So that's a bit harder. And Valdez, consider this. 2v2 in the mid lane, you might say, ah yes, Soraka comes in, and you can maybe silence the Grey Health and kill the Tahm Kench. True, but what do mid lane AD carry supports actually open up? It's the support roaming with the jungler to put down vision. Suddenly, it's Soraka trying to face check to put down vision. She dies really quick when her flash is down, and even when her flash is up, she's very susceptible to failing to face check. So getting red side control to allow a movement to Baron for Jin Air is actually really hard for Soraka. It's one of the reasons Korean supports don't play ranged supports. They suck at face checks to put down vision, and we're a vision first meta over in Korea. So right now Nova's poking and getting, you know, a lot of 22 gold procs from his support item, but he's actually not doing very else. So moving forward as Jin Air, something that as a squad they've struggled on, whatever champions they're locking in after a pretty decent early game, is harder than usual. So the ES Sharks actually have a lot to work with to slow the game down even further and rock up to the first true team fight with 3 items on Gangplank, Corki, and Ashe.
Good here, doing a nice job of poking out. At least they do have that going for them. They also have picked up 3 of the first elemental drakes here, but fortunately it's a couple of oceans, a cloud drake, and another ocean for number 4. So nothing that they can truly snowball their lead with hard, like a mountain, you know, try to bait around Baron, even though they don't have the greatest Baron damage with the Ezreal and LeBlanc, but I'll have to wait and see what they can do. Another chain gonna come out here as Grace really trying to push the issue. He's definitely one of the guys on Jin Air that can get them to a spot where they may be able to win this game, sitting at 2-0-2 already.
That is a very comfortable spot, like you mentioned, Valdez. And the Rek'Sai, like we mentioned, is pretty huge as well, but it's going to build a fast Black Cleaver. From this, the Black Cleaver is done. 3rd Hexdrinker locked in. Come on, Ashe. Throw it in there. Might go Phantom Dancer, but of course, Hexdrinker having that extra magic resist to make the shield bigger than the Phantom Dancer shield. Phantom Dancer will get to higher values because the shield scales up to, what, 600 health, I believe, at level 18. But a magic resist shield gives you, shield gives you flat health, and magic resist scales with the health alongside it, so it makes your health bar, but also your shield health bar more resilient. So you do get more value out of the Hexdrinker, but you give it up the attack speed and crit. The Phantom Dancer allows you to get closer and closer to 100% crit. So we'll see if it is Hexdrinker or IE as the next purchase from Light. But things are pretty comfortable, and only the picture-perfect flank that somehow finds Devour down and blows up Light could really do a number on this ES Sharks lineup.
Yeah, for now, I mean, they're just chilling in mid lane, you know, farming on up. Ashe up 24 CS, doing quite well, getting very farmed. And I mean, they're just going to be happy to sit back, get Corki online, get GP online, get the Ashe online. But Jin Air going to try to not let them do that as the push finally does group up here in the mid lane. Barrage is going to land in a big arrow onto C's, but look at Gangplank has to be taken away. I didn't even see Ashe disappear from the fight as Grace took another life.
ES Sharks had a very scattered shot call there, where of course can't hear their headset chatter, but they put down the Gangplank ostensibly to slow down the mid lane turret going to keep it up for longer. Then they saw some chunk. I said, oh, let's go for a kill. Kuzan Grace just pops through. I'm so used to Kuzan's above, but Grace pops in, pops Light where he stands, flash up and all. and they get the counter kill, and they get the turret anyway, so a scattered call actually allows Jin Air to move forward. It's only an inch, but it's an inch further than ES Shark should have allowed them. Gonna watch the replay here. Light had taken poke already. Cannon Barrage goes down, and then they throw out the Ashe arrow. They seem a bit scattered, and watch Grace, who just mimic distortion only. That's not a QW, that was just a mimic W. Deletes the rest of the health bar from Light. Remember that Hex Drinker? I think it's on the way.
It's just not respecting the LeBlanc, right? He did W flash R, and was able to do that damage. So you need to know the ranges as well, especially when you're that low. You can't be getting that close. And maybe just not respecting that and thinking you would have a Tahm Kench. But speaking of Tahm Kench, trying to gank a LeBlanc is generally not what you want to do.
These feel very low percentage, these moves. You understand them because like, I'm strong enough and I can global, but globals don't mean much.
Oh boy, Jisu in so much trouble here as the ult is going to land and is going to be more than enough damage. Sees picks up another kill.
And a lot more control. They have a control ward over the wall. They have priority around this area. It's not a LeBlanc, so you're not as worried about the GP getting away. Jin Air are making the more veteran shot calls, and ES Sharks are being baited by what has been a better early game gold-wise than perhaps would have expected. You're just playing it based on kills. Jin Air looks like they're way ahead, but the Sharks should know their item spikes are quite good. Rapid fire cannon's done, so this Corki is an IE short of being a lot of bark and a lot of bite. But again,
see what you did there.
It's a Corki, you know? I'm seduced about this.
I like it. It was good.
Is it wrong that I kind of want GuGer to build a Hex Drinker?
I think it is, yeah. We don't need him to have that much.
All right, we're trying again, Grace.
Arrow.
Oh, 3.5
boy.
seconds, baby.
Well, we've seen this one before, as he's going to try to get away, and he's going to hop back, and actually, with that Cannon Barrage and another distortion, he's probably going to get away here. It doesn't look like the Sharks can catch up.
For once, 3.5 seconds is shorter than we remember from things like Morgana bindings. That's a big moment. Again, it's an all-in, multiple summoner spells, multiple ultimates to get a kill. They still get nothing. And this is where the F word, another scary one to talk about on our broadcast, the frustration word, Valdez. Normally we're talking about scaling, but frustration from ES Sharks because they've rolled the dice with a lot of things. They've found nothing, and now, where is their mental state where they had a better than expected early game, but they're trying to make these mid-game things work, but they seem desperate. They don't need to be desperate. They're in a really good spot.
You can see that Grace, not sure if he did that on purpose to not react or didn't expect it. Really nice arrow, by the way, but hops back, and Kuzan, unfortunately, not able to do enough damage and not be on top of that Grace.
They're just so desperate. You look at ES Sharks and we talk about what they have, and they have some really good scaling. They can win fights because the enemy doesn't even have a tank. They've got nothing. They've got a Soraka, a Warrior Rek'Sai, and a Kennen, who is what? A stasis, I guess, and the most tankiness they have.
Yeah.
So eventually, Corki and Ashe are all the damage, and the enemy team says, ooh, that hurts, and there's not much they can do. And they also, if it's 5v5, just plonk an arrow into someone and try to kill them with that Ashe and Corki damage. But chasing in long lanes around the map, that's not something they can do. It's what they're trying, but it's smacking of desperation that doesn't seem earned.
Smacking indeed, as once again Seas is on the prowl, but they do see him this time around. So basically just waiting. You know, the onus is definitely on Jin Air, as we mentioned before, to try to catch picks. Especially catch would be the biggest one if they could get it, but they're gonna push Kuzan back for now.
Here's the equation for ES Sharks. How do you wait out a team? It's not that easy because pro players never want to be playing defensively. They're used to being top ranked and just styling on fools, right? So what they need to understand is, what is our primary objective? It's getting more items on our carries. How do we get there? Well, it's not getting kills. Of course, that's possible if one falls into your lab. What it is let's not allow the next piece of the puzzle to be gifted to Jin Air. The next piece of the puzzle for Jin Air, with their ability to take down 3 outer turrets, is Seas walks too far.
Seas gonna have to flash away from this one, so a bit of a mistake too far in the jungle.
And Jin Air need Baron. That's what they want. You cannot give up Baron as ES Sharks, but you've got a blue trinket. You've got double hook shots. from the Ashe, you have a lot of ability to check, and you even got a Tahm Kench, so a support advantage when it comes to the face check. As long as you're not under threat of Baron being started, which usually is, can we see all the enemy members? How much vision of the Baron do we have? Can we walk up to hookshot it or blue trinket it? The answer to all those questions is yes. Therefore, take a chill pill, scale. Jin Air can't punish you unless they get the Baron.
And so far, afterwards, they've been pretty good about not getting caught, staying way back in their jungle. You can see that Jisu even isn't running up the lane and getting caught by TPs or anything like that. We've seen that before in the previous series we had here in the promotion tournament. And you can see also that Grace he's almost 16, so he's really scary, but definitely looking for picks. The last time just decided to steal the Krugs because he didn't know where the rest of the Sharks were, but got to be really careful along that top lane because Grace is going to make you pay.
And we're about 2,500 gold on Corki, short of it being almost impossible for ES Sharks to lose team fights. That's where we're up to, around 55,000 gold, maybe 56, 57. You just look at the items and you say, when the IEs are there, how could they lose? Like, it's possible if you face check and it's disconnected, but we're very, very close to all of the items being there, including the Insurance Hex Drinker line. Conga line is at 4. One more, 3 Hex Drinkers, and predictably, the double null Magic Mantle went into some more AoE Magic Resist. Again, the Ally Shield does scale on the Magic Resist from the Hex Drinker. We're there, Valdez. The calm before the storm is now just the storm that ESS should have prepped for. So unless they make a mistake, we're waiting for a Jin Air super play or the most creative Baron sneak we've seen in quite a while.
Well, finally they get a little bit of RNG on their side with the Mountain Drake, but does kind of feel too little too late. They're going to have to get that one and really threaten Baron, but does feel unlikely without a pick, as you were mentioning before. So many ways to check and get into the pit and challenge there with, especially once those items come online. So the clock is ticking here, Jin Air. If you want that glad plane to fly, you had a great early game. Mid-game was pretty good as well. But you really have to make a play here sometime soon.
Speaking of sometime soon, Catch going for that 35-minute Cinderhulk, baby, because, of course, went into the Black Cleaver and then the Hex Drinker, and we've always noted that the Cinderhulk is always a sometimes food on Olaf when it comes to when you complete it. It's a multiplicative item anyway, so the initial power spike, especially before the extra burn damage to monsters, which comes on 9.8, is live. We're still on 9.6 over in Korea. I believe LPL final is 9.7, so we're still well in the past here in Korea, so don't mind the Cinderhulk being delayed this long. Sees he's got that bug where he's spotted permanently, but the enemy doesn't know he's here. And Jin Air, they're only getting a Mountain Drake, which does mean when they finally feel strong enough to hit Baron, they'll be there. The best news about this, it's going to be a 31-minute Mountain Drake, so at least Elder. And the inability for most teams to defend both sides of the map at the same time means that maybe an Elder versus Baron trade is when the action truly kicks off.
Now they're really trying to dunk on a Grace here, but Mimic Distortion plus the heal. The Wambulance coming in real effect as that arrow also going to sail wide, and Grace is going to be just fine.
Wambulance, I love that you went there. That's exactly how I think about the Soraka passive. Soraka hasn't had to face check, but she hasn't been able to put down vision aggressively either. So, yeah, I think Jin Air trading Elder for Baron and then maybe just having enough damage with a 5-stack Elder to win a 5v5 is pretty much the best they can hope for. Not being able to find any more than that. Lindarang pushes in bot lane. Can they find an inroad on ES Sharks team that's getting much and much more resolute about defending?
Interesting play just happened there. Light was up in the top lane, so Jin Air's like, well, you don't have a lot of your damage. I guess we'll just take 2 turrets, essentially for free. They go mid, get the inner one, they go bot, take that one as well, and the Sharks are like, well, we're not ready to fight just yet. Only Ashe has that Infinity Edge, still waiting on Corki, which, as you mentioned, that's the timing where they're going to be looking for fights and actually ready to challenge. Really not that far behind for 32 minutes into the game. I mean, it's only 2,000 gold, and that's pretty minuscule, especially considering the comps at this point in the game.
And it feels like, given this game has kind of been a lot, much ado about nothing after an amazing early game for Jin Air where Rek'Sai had a vintage score performance. Now you're reminded why we don't see range supports like Soraka in the bot lane, because unless your macro is strong around them, it reminds me of those frustrating games last year where teams with awesome dude bot laners couldn't kill Baron fast enough, so the game just went into the epic lull of 40 minutes till something happened. We're literally seeing that happen again, because Jin Air just don't know how to close games with this comp, because honestly, in 2019, they've never closed a game with a comp like this.
Yeah. It's always been one of their big problems, even if they do, rarely pick up a lead early on in the game. They really just don't know what to do with it. And especially with this comp, it's been pretty hard. You can see that as a team, they have to go in, essentially. Nova can't do it alone. And even Kennen has to come on up. That bottom lane not getting pushed. Jisu gonna head down there with his own TP. You can see that Root also is feeling the pressure. He's like in the mid lane, he's like, I gotta get some damage down. I need to poke the Ashe out before the fight even begins, because once it's a team fight, that's not really what you're gonna be looking for. You want that Ashe to be super low, and they try to start the Baron, and Ashe is like, lol.
It's just kind of sad about us, because if you were going to start the Baron, it needed to be 10 minutes ago.
Wow.
Kennen's going for it, but I think it's too late. Here we go, going down. Not spotted just yet. Let's see when they see the Kennen. Still don't see him. They don't know he's there.
Is down, and Light is in so much trouble. Immediately going to go down. The Rek'Sai ult also going to save his life. That's going to be the triple kill for Lindarang on that Kennen, and that should unlock that objective.
So much darkness to come, though. It's like a Nocturne ultimate was around, but they find the exact path for the Kennen to found again. Like we mentioned, something we didn't see. There was no Devour available. It was already used, so Ashe does blow up, and Jin Air GreenWings might have found a way to get Baron.
See that the TP comes in from Jisu to go into the bottom lane, but all that Grace has to do is recall. They don't need the LeBlanc to take this down, especially with that Mountain Drake. So finally, the Baron taken here at 34 minutes. They got Elder in a minute as well. And all of a sudden, Jin Air feels like they caught that last train to the victory.
So Light front lines and then knows he has Devour, but that just means pops like a balloon. And the Shark balloon, it had a big smile, it looked really cute, but someone poked it like a piñata. You know what exploded out? A Baron. No candy, but the candy comes later. The Baron dying right now is a pretty big thing for Jin Air, because they should have had no realistic way to get it. Light choosing to frontline because he had Devour. Was Light choosing to frontline not knowing where Kennen was? What a flank from Lindarang. It might have won them game number one.
You would have to imagine that ward was placed by, well, actually he does have a sweeper, so not 100% sure who did put down that ward, but it was a really good one because you could tell that it was just too far away for the Sharks to see on their map. But we'll see what happens here at the Elder. Again, those item timings are online this time around. Corki's got his package as well. Looks like the Sharks really want to put up a last stand here at the Elder. At least Jisu is hanging around still.
Back on wave clear duty and breaking the base. Look, they have Ezreal poke. Grace can pop in QR and try to chunk people out. It's still not straightforward because you can't flank from behind on Kennen in the base. Still, if you have to fight here.
Soraka taking insane damage, but in goes Lindarang 1v5, and Grace also getting into the back line. And it looks like the pick that they have is going to be enough.
Boom.
As the ES Sharks group up for a huge slicing maelstrom, and Jin Air's going to win game one.
They came out of the base, they felt like they had to fight for the Elder, and taking that 31-minute Mountain Drake actually proved so important because there was something they had to fight for. 340. ES never get the fight they want where Corki and Ashe can crit someone in the face, and all the scaling is for naught. It may have taken 37 minutes, but Jin Air go up 1-0.
C's styling a bit too, has that stopwatch still, but there it is, guys. Game number one finally gonna go into the hands of Jin Air. Final score 15-2 was definitely in their hands for the majority of that game, but it was getting scary there towards the end, and a couple of great engages by Lindarang makes it all happen in about 37 minutes.
We all know the cake is a lie. In this case, the kill score was a lie. We really liked where ESS has gotten to because the double Infinity Edge was there in GP. Didn't have an IE, but even without crit, he was looking oh so powerful. But you still needed the second part of, all right, now we want a 5v5. The frontlining mistake from Light lost them the Baron and lost them the kind of CS for CS map control they had going on. Then they tried to walk up a second time. It was definitely the fool me once, fool me twice scenario. We didn't get to a third fullsies because the only fool by the third time was ES Sharks, because in the end, it just ended up being kind of the frustrating scaling where you get your stacks Nasus and then the game ends without you getting to team fight. The game was over, no true 5v5, just a victory to Jin Air. And a really important one, what was our analysis in the early game? Win lane comp versus scaling comp. This is going to decide the series in terms of momentum. All momentum, Jin Air GreenWings.
Absolutely, especially coming off of the 2-0 victory they had the first time they come in tonight, and C's puts on a huge performance to get us started. And Jin Air just come in saying, we are an LCK team and you're a challenger team. Step it up, guys. And, you know, they might even make that come true once again.
2018, that was definitely not the case. The challengers teams ended up having the last laugh. Feels like this time, the LCK teams are stronger, and it does play into the fact that you take away Damwon, Sandbox, Griffin, and you start extending rosters to 10, 15-man rosters like Humble Life. The talent pool for challengers doesn't feel like it's on the same level. You thought we were on a break, we got some more stuff to discuss. It was always there, but remember all those gold grass 2 days ago, they were always ascending. This one was flat from about 5 to 10 minutes till about jumps. 32, and then the 2 jumps at the end. One mistake frontlining for Light, and then an Elder Dragon they felt they had to fight for. ES Sharks, they tried to stand their way out. I would love to see them drop more early game power because they were at Jin Air's whim in game number 1.
You said it before, the team that takes game number 1 is probably going to end up taking the series, and, well, Jin Air did look like the better team overall, so the Sharks, they got to go back into the room. They have to pull themselves together. We'll see if they can do it after this break.